I believe that the fires we're cast upon are the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling where our temples pray as one. I believe in the word of wonder and a kingdom for the saved.
Larry Pollock here with Luke Carroll and Hella Trevino. I'm not sure if Leo's coming on today or not. We heard from him and then we didn't. But anyways, a lot to talk about. It was a big Arnold weekend. I can tell you going there was quite the experience. I wanted to get there for the meet and greet, and the only way to do that was to catch a 5 o'clock in the morning flight from LAX. So the night before, we stayed up the whole night, drove to the airport, got there at 3 o'clock in the morning, and went to check in, and our flight was canceled.
No.
What airline?
Southwest.
Dang.
So they put us on the next flight, which was not going to be till after 12 noon from 5 in the morning. So they wanted us to sit there for 7 hours in the airport.
That sucks.
So I called the airlines and talked to somebody else there after the people at the airport were not helpful at all. And they got me on an 11 o'clock flight was the next one going out. There was 2 seats. So we ended up getting in like midnight that night to the hotel. So we literally didn't sleep like at all.
Right.
So we got in at midnight, slept in till the next morning, and then got up and went to the Expo and to the show. But the Expo was packed. I think they said there was over 100,000 people. It was a really big expo, a lot of people there, a lot of booths, a lot of stuff going on. And the show was a pretty good show. I will say they don't have stadium seating, so I'm not a fan of the seating, even though I was pretty close to the front. I was about 10 rows back. You still have to see over the other people sitting in front of you. It's not like the stadium seating where you can see, down onto the stage. So whenever somebody puts their camera up in front of to take a picture, they're in front of your face. So you have to look at the jumbo screen. But from where I was sitting, I could see the stage pretty good when they weren't putting their camera in front of my face. And I can tell you the view that you get seeing in person versus watching on the jumbo screen is not the same. First of all, there's 2 jumbo screens, one on each side. And depending on which one you're looking at, the person who's farthest to the right or the left looks bigger or smaller because of the camera thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they're not proportionate to themselves on the screen. I don't know if that's the same way on the live stream, but like if you look at one angle, the person on the very far left is like the bigger one, and the very far right is the bigger one. You know what I'm saying? Or smaller, one or the other.
It like distorts it, so it
distorts the shape of them because of the way the camera is facing.
Yeah.
So, but you can tell when you're looking straight ahead at them live, they don't look like that, but they look on the screen. And if you look at one screen to the other screen, the guy on the right or the left looks bigger. So I'm just pointing this out. So when you're seeing it on a live stream, you're not seeing what the judges are seeing. Also, the detail that you can see in person, it doesn't look the same on the screen. It just doesn't.
It never does. I mean, if you've been there yourself, I've been at the Olympia many times and sat like dead ass first row after the judges. Like, I mean, it's really completely different seeing somebody in person. That's why I'm always like, when they have the discussions online, I mean, just, take the picture sometimes with a grain of salt, because it's really like sometimes, you see a picture where the photographer caught the athletes like exhaling or in a wrong angle or something like that. They're not quite flexed, they're on their way to a flex, and maybe the other athletes are flexed, so you always kind of take the pictures with a bit of a grain of salt because it's not like being there yourself.
Yeah. So, anyways, from my vantage point, I could see pretty good, and let's go straight into the open bodybuilding. On prejudging, first of all, I will say I went in there with the assumption that Hadi was going to win. That was what I had in my head.
But he was the favorite going in, I think.
Right.
Probably the biggest favorite.
So I was looking at him as the possible winner from the beginning. But as they continued to pose, I could see Nick just looked better and better. And I felt like his legs were just like not on. His legs looked a little soft compared to his upper body at the prejudging. And overall, Nick just stood out. Just not just the size, but the conditioning was so much more than the other guys, especially the back shots.
He did on video too. I mean, like on the video, Nick really stood out.
I mean, it's hands down the best conditioning he's had.
Yeah, this might have been
in my opinion.
This might have been
packet.
Yeah. Ever, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he really stood out. And so, but I still thought based on aesthetics that Hadi would be ahead of him. I just figured, like, I know that the way the judges judge, and I thought, well, no matter how big and shredded he is, they're still going to give it to Hadi because aesthetically he's better.
It's just waist size when they stood next to each other. Like Hadi has this so little waist, especially in the ab shots. Hadi is so small. It's like, it's obvious that when you see an athlete that does vacuum, I don't know, like, if Nick does it, but it doesn't look like it to me. Like Hadi does vacuum. Like he can do a full-on vacuum. And you also see when he hits his ab shot, his waist goes in. Whereas I feel like more like when Nick hits his ab shots, his waist goes out. Like the obliques, they bulge out. Like they round. So, I mean, I was the same on it with you, Larry, just from aesthetics, but it's also like, maybe us who are from old school, our favorites are like Kevin Lerone, Flex Wheeler, Sean Ray, and that was maybe more like what classic is today. So it's like I'm not really. Once I see a blocky bodybuilder with a big waist, I'm already like, it's not really, But size conditioning, Nick was the best.
So yeah, we already knew coming in that Nick wasn't going to have the structure. I mean, all of us had him in fourth, and his size. I mean, really, what we need to do is just go shot by shot. He won the back shots. He won probably the side shots. He probably got beat on the front shots. So he won a considerable amount of the shots if you actually go pose by pose. And Hadi, he seemed like he wasn't his normal pop that he has, that normally he's like kind of just really like there. He looked like Nick's child up there. Like he just looked like this little, like, if you compared them side by side, like he just looked like 100 pounds lighter than Nick. So yeah, Hadi did have the like narrow waist and structure, but I think that maybe he's down maybe 3 to 5 pounds, and he just didn't have that like normal Hadi kind of pop that he has.
He wasn't his best. I mean, he came better for the finals, but
yeah,
I mean, at the finals, I was like kind of wow. I would have liked to see that at the prejudge.
The thing is, Nick brought it at pre like the best, and then everyone else kind of played catch up and brought it better at finals. So I think if you looked at the scorecard, Andrew actually won both pre and finals, and I think that they should have I'd like to see the actual judges like pose by pose scorecard to see like, all right, how'd you guys like mathematically work this out, that it was just like a shutout in the first, because like with Andrew's bad posing and his kind of like weak shots here and there, I think that it could have maybe he could have like gotten second and Nick gotten first, and then maybe he overtook Nick in the final, because like at the end of the day, Andrew is a better bodybuilder because he just has better structure. Like he just has the best structure, and he's, you know, pretty much the biggest. He does have some missing stuff, like kind of like the glutes are a little under, like hams and glutes are a little undersized.
Yeah,
You know,
I thought
so
also
like
quads.
his side shots are a little undersized. You know, Nick, he can be standing up and he's sitting on his hamstring. So Andrew just doesn't have that because he's so tall.
Yeah.
So it seems a little strange just to see the scorecards. It's just like Andrew first in prejudging, Andrew first in finals, Nick second in prejudging, Nick second in finals. So it seemed kind of like they fixed the scorecards a little bit to say whatever they had, like whatever the placing was, you know?
Right. Yeah, Andrew just needs more time. I mean, I really see a big future for him, but I'd like to see his legs bigger, even his quads for his upper body, because he's so wide, like just his clavicles are like, and then the big delts. So he needs some more size on his lower, and this come in like harder. You know, I thought his legs were a little blurry at the prejudging. He could have come 2%, 3% better. So yeah.
I think
the future.
I think the thing is, a 90% Andrew can beat 100% Nick just because of the structure, you know. And I think that's what we'll see kind of like over and over. I think that this is like Nick can definitely win in shows that aren't the Arnold or the Olympia, but I think that like at the top of the top, those two shows, it's going to be really hard for him to overtake some of those guys that, like, you know, like a Samson or like an Andrew.
Right.
Here's the way I see it. If you look at historically through bodybuilding, we started with basically the 70s, and Arnold was Mr. Olympia. And at the time, he was the biggest bodybuilder. Maybe Sergio Oliva was as big as him, but those two guys were the biggest. And then you had Frank Zane win for 3 years. And he beat Mike Mentzer one time, which was very controversial. But in general, Arnold, even though they say he was aesthetic, he didn't have the smallest waist, and he was the biggest at that time. After him, you had the 80s was Lee Haney. I mean, you had a couple guys in between, like Samir and you know, Chris Dickerson and whatever, but they were like one-offs.
Mm-hmm.
But then you had Lee Haney. Now, Lee Haney was considered aesthetic again because he had the small waist, but he was still the biggest guy on stage. He wasn't the most shredded because Gasperi was the most shredded, but I mean, Haney was so much bigger than Rich Gasperi that it was not even. It wasn't even close. And Haney's conditioning wasn't bad. It was pretty damn good. It was close. It was way bigger than everybody. And then, so after him came Dorian. And then Dorian brought another level of size. And again, then you had Sean Ray and Lavroni and Flex Wheeler, but Dorian still beat all of them because he was the biggest, most shredded guy on stage.
Mm-hmm.
So that continued to win. After that, we had Phil Heath. Phil Heath had pretty much a good structure. He wasn't the biggest, but he was pretty much the biggest, most muscular guy competing during his time. I mean, technically, Kai Green weighed more than him, but Phil looked bigger than him on stage.
That's just structure again. Phil had better shoulders and arms and taper.
Yep. So Phil was still the most dominant, big shredded guy out there. And then they finally decided Louis Marco got on the waist bit thing, and they decided to punish Phil Heath by taking the 8th Mr. Olympia away and giving it to Sean Roden.
Mm-hmm.
And they did that. The IFBB did that, making a statement saying, if your waist is, you know, distended in any kind of a way, we're not going to let you win. Because at that Olympia, and I was there front and center, Phil Heath beat Sean Roden on every single thing except for the midsection.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Roden's arms, shoulders, back, legs were not even close to Phil Heath. Sean Roden still won based on the better midsection, and Phil Heath midsection was messed up, possibly from a hernia or whatever they said it was from.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had surgery.
I kind of tend to agree. I mean, like, Phil's waist in the end was starting to make him like a lot more blocky. It was starting to get pretty distended. Like, I think just insulin abuse was like causing that to happen. They say it was a hernia, but I think it was just like his omental fat layer was just getting thick from insulin. But I agree. I think that everywhere else he was like there, but I mean, it's really hard to say. Like, you know, if someone is like good and better structure, which kind of in that year Roden had a little bit better structure, then, you know, I think that I wish Roden would have been a slight bit better, so it was like a shut the door, you know, on a 7-time champion. So I feel like
it wasn't.
Rob. What?
It wasn't. Phil's arms were way better. His shoulders were way better.
Yeah.
His chest was better. His back was better. His legs were better. The only thing he was missing was a midsection. Roden had a better midsection, and Roden won.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically made a statement right then and there saying, if your midsection is even any kind of distended in any kind of a way, you're not winning. That's it.
I thought Roden was sharper that year. Like, that was
he was pretty good.
That was the most sharpest he had ever been. Like, conditioning, he beat Phil that year.
That's true. No, he was conditioning in the midsection, but the rest of his body wasn't more conditioned, and it was not as big.
I thought he was conditioned.
He not more conditioned than Phil. I don't think so.
I think he was. Like, I was at the Olympia that year watching it close up. I thought he was very impressive. Like, but it's also like,
if you put a small waist on Phil that year, Phil would have won. Mm-hmm. It was just on the midsection. It was because they were really making a big deal about the midsections right then and there. And that IFBB said, we're going to make a statement. If the midsection's just in any kind of a way, that's it. You're not going to win it because we don't want you to represent the sport.
But do you think that's good or bad?
I think it's good to a point. And what I mean by that is, yeah, I don't think people should have big blown out waists. And I don't think they should have palumboism and, you know, like look like you're 9 months pregnant.
They have, on the other hand, at times when a guy comes in the way that they're like trying to guide the sport, they have to make a statement and say, like, this is the direction we're trying to go, a tighter, you know, narrower waist.
And this is before Classic was a thing. So they were trying to, you know, Arnold was bitching about the waist and the midsection and vacuums and there was no Classic physique. So I think it's good to the point of, yeah, if somebody's midsection is totally like, okay, at the last Olympia, Nick's midsection was so bad that, yeah, no way he should have been in the top 5. And he ended up getting 6 because it just was too much. But he managed to bring it in. It's not tiny, small, like, you know, Hadi's, because it's just, he's got bigger hips and bigger everything than Hadi. But it wasn't distended. So it's like, okay, how much you're going to penalize somebody for a midsection when it's not distended? It's just, he just has wider hips, you know, and there's nothing he can do about that. I mean, his stomach was flat. Now, Tyler Mannion said in the transitions that his stomach was sticking out during prejudging. Now, I saw when I was in Pittsburgh last year, I was very close to the stage, and I did see that every time they relaxed between poses, he let his midsection out a little bit. And especially when he was like not posing, he would just like stand there and let it out, which was not because
something you just said kind of makes me question the standards for judging, because you're supposed to go by, okay, everyone gets in a front double bicep. Who's got the best front double bicep? First, second, third. Okay, that's 1 point for first, 2 points for second, 3 points for third. Front lat spread. First, second, third. Okay, add all those up. At the end of the day, the guy with the lowest points is supposed to be the winner. But if you're saying, oh, this different part of the show and the transitions and then the this and that. So you're talking about like a different judging criteria, which like they haven't set down, which is kind of
Tyler Mannion just said that.
Mhm.
He just did a critique. I just listened to it on his on the judging,
I haven't
and
seen
he
it.
said during the transitions, during prejudging, Nick let his waist out, and that's what hurt him. And if he wants to take care of that, he's going to have to learn to control his waist during the transitions.
Mhm.
That's exactly what he said. He said that's where he
they
wants.
look at everything. I mean, of course, they look at the overall package also. You can't just go like pose by pose, because you can be like totally wrong put together and like not look good at all structurally and then win. But is that bodybuilding? I mean, bodybuilding to me is about aesthetics. And
Yeah.
There's, you could say, okay, yeah, they go post by post, but there's also other criterias than just comparing biceps. Like the aesthetics is still, that's what bodybuilding is. Otherwise, I mean, you know what I mean? You can just come with a freaking, some bodies, they look like you took a body part and you just kind of threw it on like a piece of clay, like here and there and there. There's no flow. Like, I don't know, like how many times, like where I haven't been on the stage where I have been critiqued after, where they say, oh, your flow was a bit off. You wasn't flowing as well as you were the last show. I posed with, I was in Bev Francis in 24, where I actually had some posing practice with Steve. And he also pointed out to keep my belly in, in the transitions. We tried on different poses, what looked more aesthetically. Is it here with the abs? Is it here with the abs? Like different tricep. So they do look a lot. They look at angles. Like they can only judge what they see on stage, and this is why we also need to practice posing so much, because somebody might look, great, say like in a tricep shot from the side with one leg back, and somebody get a flat hamstring in that pose where maybe you should do the classical. So, I mean, I do believe they, of course, it's open men's. They do look at the size, but I'm 100% sure they also look at flow, aesthetics, all that.
No, I think aesthetics matter, but there's judging criteria is in the open is supposed to be muscularity first,
Symmetry,
and then conditioning and aesthetics.
Yeah,
And
I mean, symmetry, aesthetics.
Sure, if somebody's muscular but they have like horrible aesthetics, obviously they should not place well.
Yeah.
But now you've gone all the other end of the pendulum, where maybe the aesthetics are not quite as good, but the muscularity and the conditioning is way, way better. But they're still giving it to the aesthetic guy, even though he's not in condition. And
the thing is, the aesthetics you're talking about, like some poses can hide bad aesthetics. Like the back poses for Nick, he has the most impressive. His adductors touch down to his knees. His back is the widest. It's the thickest. His arms are the biggest. So the back poses, Nick Walker has the least aesthetics, but he wins. Same with the side chest. He has, he's able to hide his midsection. He should, in my opinion, win that pose. Or else, go back to what Hella was saying about the aesthetics, about the transitions. Well, then Dorian shouldn't have won. Like Dorian didn't have the aesthetics. The guy, Sean Ray, Flex Wheeler, Kevin Lebroni, they all had better.
I think
aesthetics, but he had more poses that he won. I've heard Dorian break it down 100 times on podcasts. He's like, oh yeah, I knew like going in like 96 that I was going to lose this pose and this pose, but I had 6 other poses, so I knew I could win the Olympia. So he breaks it down like that, which has always kind of been my mindset, because I heard him like speak that over and over. So I definitely agree with you. When the judge is looking at you and you let your stomach out, I think that it like subconsciously they might be like, oh, okay, that doesn't look as good. And then maybe in the next pose, if it's like really close, they have in their mind like, oh, well, but in the transition, he wasn't as good. So then you're second in that next pose. So I think that it can be kind of just almost like a subconscious thing, even more than like a criteria that we have already set down by the IFBB.
Well, I will say, if we take all the different divisions, the one that's about mass is open men's bodybuilding. I mean, we do have classic where aesthetics is a bigger issue, but I'm just saying, just because we have okay, that's the category where the mass monsters are being judged up is about size. That's it. That's what it is about. But that doesn't mean there should also not be some type of, whether you want to call it symmetry or aesthetics, or it should not be totally out the window.
I'm in agreement with, and that's the structure.
I don't think either one of us are saying it should be out the window. What we're saying is, if someone has like 5% better aesthetics, but they're 10% worse in conditioning and 10% less muscular, should they still win because they're more aesthetic?
No. I mean, everything is, when you look at the criteria, it's muscle mass, it's symmetry, it's conditioning, right? And then you can argue for symmetry, aesthetics is sort of goes hand in hand.
Well, not necessarily, because if you look at symmetry, Nick's legs and his upper body match more than Andrew's legs and his upper body match. Andrew's upper body way overpowers his legs, especially from the back.
I agree totally. Andrew needs legs, but I will also argue with that. Nick's waist makes his legs look small. If he had a smaller waist, his legs would look bigger.
From the front,
from the front, especially.
Now, another thing Tyler Mannion said, which in his critique when he was going through it pose by pose, he said Nick needs more back thickness, and Andrew has more back thickness. And so therefore Andrew wins the back shots. I don't know what he's looking at, because I did not see that.
Yeah.
Nick had the best back on stage in every way possible. Thickness, definition, detail, width. I mean, no, Hadi had the widest in the back lat spread, but I mean, his back double is crazy. I don't know what he's looking at to say he doesn't have thickness in the back double. I didn't see it.
I thought Nick lacked a little thickness in the lower back. Like if you looked at the lat spread, Hadi's lat spread was also better because he had a lot of lower back thickness, where Nick was a bit shallow there.
Hadi has thickness in his entire mid back and his traps, as well as the width. So in the back lat spread, Hadi has the best back lat spread of all three of them. No, hands down, no one can compare with that. But just based on Andrew's back lat spread and Nick's back lat spread, I think they're pretty comparable. And in the back, now on the legs, they're not even comparable. Nick's legs blow him away in the back.
Yeah.
In the back double, I don't think Andrew's back double is comparable to Nick's. Nick's back double is insane. And neither was Hadi's back double. Is not comparable to Nick's.
He had the best backside for sure. Also hamstrings, like his hamstrings were like, I never saw his hamstring like that. He really,
they're big and they're separated and they're full of striations and
he leveled up.
So I just feel like the judges are like, okay, we want the sport to go in a certain direction. Whoever's going to represent the sport is going to be a certain aesthetic kind of a way. And if you don't meet that criteria, it doesn't matter how big and shredded you are, you're not going to win. That's just basically what they're saying. And I think Tyler basically kind of said, Nick, if he somehow gets his waist, 3 inches smaller and controls it the whole time, he has a chance. That's basically what he said. So it's just, we have classic for a reason. That's why they came with classic with the height and weight restrictions, because they said, the guys are too big and not aesthetic. So that's why there's classic physique. open bodybuilding is supposed to be about, big freaky mass. And I don't, like I said, Nick at the Olympia, he looked horrible. The waist was way blown out and it just went way off. At this show, though, it was like night and day. He looked like a different person. And he brought it. He came good at the prejudging. He was best at the prejudging, conditioning, and size. And then at the night show, both Hadi and Andrew improved, but he also improved. So they all improved at the night show. And watching it through the show, in the beginning, I'm like, they're never going to give it to Nick. It doesn't matter. He's just not aesthetic. He's just not going to get it. But as they kept posing them over and over again, especially at the night show when they that 3-man rounds where they kept posing them and have everybody switch places in the middle, the more I watched it, the more I'm like, Jesus, he's so much more muscular and so much more conditioned that I think he might have a chance. Because in the beginning, I was like, no, he doesn't have a chance. But
it's also like many times they get better as they pose. Different. Sometimes someone can fade away as they pose, and sometimes somebody can get better as they pose. And also seeing an athlete in action, it's. And
I was looking,
like you say, it's just different when you see it.
I was looking for that because in Pittsburgh they said.
Usually when it's close, they'll make them pose until somebody like starts to fade. Like they do that in a lot of shows.
They said that they posed Derek and Nick until Nick started to gas out and fade. That's what they said.
Yeah.
He did not gas out and fade at this show ever. They posed him over and over again. And he just looked better and better and better. I did not see him gas out and fade through the whole thing. And I was waiting for it to happen. I was like, okay, when is he going to start to fade? And it didn't happen.
I think Andrew just won on structure. I mean, and I don't really have a problem with that because he was exceptional. So I don't terribly have a problem with it. But as a friend of Nick's and a fan of Nick's, he really brought it to the show. So I was like, man, an underdog could win this one. I wanted to see the underdog win it, I think, is what me and pretty much all the rest of, everyone that is a Nick fan wanted to see. Like, that it could happen,
Right.
I didn't care going into it who won, to be honest with you. I could care less. But I was so impressed with how Nick came from the Olympia and brought his conditioning and everything spot on. He was the only one that I could say was like 100% peaked perfectly. No one else was. Hadi was a little off. Andrew was a little off. He was 100% on.
Yeah.
And I mean, from a pure bodybuilding point of view, that counts for a lot. Because how hard that is to just nail it like that. Yeah. Where you're completely blown out full and shredded.
Yeah.
And,
we all aspire to hit that one show that does that.
Yeah. And it's hard to get. And he did it. He pulled it off.
Yeah.
So I was super impressed with that. So, but Nick's, not butthurt. He's happy that he beat Hadi. He said
he's happy to be kind of back in that like top because he was really struggling, at the Olympia, and then, he won. I think what did he win last year? Was it New York or no? He won
Pittsburgh and New York.
No. Wait, no. Derek won Pittsburgh last year.
No, yeah, I'm sorry. Derek won Pittsburgh, and that was controversial, and then he won New York.
Okay.
Right.
So I think that he had a good showing at that New York show, and then after the Olympia, he was kind of just like, man, like a lot of people were just kind of counting him down and out, like he was moving lower and lower on the stage. So I think that him like really coming back like this is just kind of like, giving him a lot of happiness. He brought his best, even though he didn't maybe win. He was super close. So.
But you need that as an athlete. It's just when you start like going down in placing and you feel like the fans are losing faith in you and you feel like sort of like, yeah, you're dropping off. That's not a good feeling. You need to kind of come back and redeem yourself.
I think a lot of people were seeing Nick as like kind of down and out, and so him to redeem himself like this, I think was like a big like comeback for him.
For sure. He got a
Yeah.
lot of props, man, online. Like he got a lot of props.
Yeah.
But he brought it. I mean, deserved. He brought it. You can't say
Yeah.
anything else.
So
Real quick, touching on a classic. God, what's his name? I just forgot.
Sam Sulek?
What? No,
Sam
not Sam
Sulek?
Sulek.
Or
The guy who
Wesley?
won.
Wesley?
Wesley
Vissers.
Vissers easily dominated that. Now, what happened with Mike? Summerfield. That's so weird.
That's a coach error, man. Like that coach.
Well,
that's
but
his
what they said doesn't even
responsibility.
make sense because they just went through this whole ordeal at the Olympia where he had to lose weight to make the height in 1 week, and he did lose the weight and make the height. So, and then he said he didn't know he was going to be reheighted here, but they said at the Olympia that everybody's going to be reheighted at every show going forward. That's what they said.
They said that?
Yeah, that's what they said. Everybody's going to get reheighted now from every show.
So
I heard
did he get
the
it?
opposite. I heard they said that what you hide at the Olympia is what it's going to be all year.
Well, I don't know, but anyways,
So did he get a different height? Was that the issue?
he ended up being 7 pounds
Olympia,
over when they went to hide him in,
He didn't go down to that.
and he couldn't lose the 7 pounds in time, so he didn't make it.
But what happened? Was he hided less?
He was hiding the same as the Olympia. They didn't change it. They didn't
So
even remeasure him. They just said
So
like,
it
what's
doesn't matter then. It doesn't matter if they rehide it or not. It was the same. So I'm just
And-
saying that's a coach error. Like that coach should have brought him down well ahead of time.
I think that so Mike was able to win or we were able to be competitive when he was cheating, basically. But when he was getting an extra inch, he could get an extra 7 pounds. He was able to go up against C-Bomb. He was able to go up against all these other people. And then when they hided him his actual height, he's got to lose that weight. He's going to lose his size. He's going to lose his pop. He's not able to beat Ramon. He's not able to, he's not able to get down that low.
I'm just saying he was this, like the height was the same at the Olympia.
Yeah.
So
I'm just saying, what does he do? Is he going to be able to drop that? Like, I don't know.
I mean, he has to. This is no way.
Well,
I mean, either he goes.
He did
open,
drop it,
which-
and he was competitive at the Olympia. He got second to Ramon,
Mhm.
where he might have won if he was bigger.
Mhm.
But he still
I'm
did
just-
make the weight.
I'm just disappointed. Like for Mike, I'm like, if I had a coach, it's not me who's doing the prep or the carb up or whatever.
They should have done their due
a
diligence
coach.
and found out from whoever specifically that is the person in charge. They should have called the
just like-
IFBB head office and been like, "Let me talk to Steve Weinberger and be like, can I get rehided? If so, then I'll be taller at the Arnold."
I mean, they had the height already from the Olympia, so they would know, like, okay, this is the height. It's very likely I'll be having that same height again. You don't suddenly change a height like.
Well,
6
no, but
months
he
later.
does. He's been doing like stretching things, and he gets chiropractic done, and he can be.
So
taller.
you're thinking they were maybe banking on that he would be taller.
Yeah, but they didn't even check him. They just said get on the scale, and then okay, you're 5'8". So they didn't even check his height. They just said that's your height. Was what you did at the Olympia is how tall you are. That's what it is on your card.
So that was just a screw up on their end, and I blame it on Mike and his coach. But aside from that, Wesley blew out the rest of the field. I don't think he had even a competition.
Did you guys see the before and after, like how much he improved from last
Wesley?
time? Yeah.
Yeah, he looked way better.
Like he really put on muscle. I always thought his legs were a bit on the skinny side. I mean, he's a tall dude, but he really put on like a good quad sweep. He made like substantial improvements. They might be on his Instagram. I don't remember if they compared from the Olympia or it was from, I think it was like from Arnold last year. Yeah, it was Arnold last year compared with this year. They did like a front double bicep comparison. He really looked so much better at conditioning and size. I was pretty impressed.
Yeah, He looked really good. I don't think anybody was comparing. I'm trying to pull up Wesley right now on Instagram and see.
Wesley Wizards.
I found him right here. I think yes. Okay, let me share this. So, I mean, that's pretty damn good.
That's pretty damn good. He's got a nice shape.
Yeah.
There was a lot of talent. The guy from Italy, the guy from Brazil. There was a lot of talent at this Olympia or this Arnold.
Yeah, but I think he pretty much dominated this class. The guy that was second, I mean, he was big too, but I still think Wesley was way more conditioned and better than him.
Mm-hmm.
And
somebody asked if Wesley will move to open. I highly doubt it.
Yeah, no. I like
he's
the
not
other
big
guys.
enough to move to open.
I really like the other guy's shape as well, but he was softer. He wasn't as conditioned. He was from Brazil, second place.
So let me ask you guys a hypothetical question that's kind of irrelevant, but just to prove a point. If you had Wesley Vissers competing against Nick Walker in the open division, who wins?
I mean, the open is about size, so
well, but Wesley
is tall.
We've already seen that play out. We saw Chris Bumstead, Mr. Olympia, go against Martin, and Martin beat him.
Yeah, and Marty beat him.
So we've already seen that play out. If you're not big enough to be in that division, then you're going to get beat by the open bodybuilder.
But I would say, if Wesley put on I don't know, 40, 50 pounds, he would beat Nick.
Yeah,
40 pounds.
Yes.
Bye.
Yeah,
but then he would be like Gunther Schleinkamp size.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know how long it would take him to put on that kind of size?
40 pound of muscle.
Probably 5 years.
Yeah,
that's a big if to do that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if he could
you might see someone like Stanimal went for it, and his body didn't grow into an open bodybuilder the way that he was good in classic. Stanimal was
now you've got what's his name? The German kid. He just went to open.
Which one?
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Urs.
So Urs went to open and he's doing good, but he's not, going to win an Arnold or an Olympia.
He had a hard time getting down to classic though. He really struggled.
I know, but I'm just saying he's still, even with his aesthetics, he's still not at the level where he could win.
But let's see with the years. Let's see.
He'll be a top.
I'm saying right now. I'm not saying in time he's not going to be able to. I'm saying right now the way
obviously he took 1 year and he was probably putting on 40 pounds in 1 year. I mean, it was crazy how the difference from physique to open in 1 year. It was so impressive. I don't know if it ever was seen before. So obviously we could see it in his back that he didn't really have the detail. New muscle usually does not really have the detail or the depth or the, just that muscle that's been grinding through years just has a lot more maturity. So that will have to come. But I think his shape was great. His waist looked good. He didn't get a pot belly from sometimes all the eating and maybe insulin and this and that. I mean, if he can keep his waist good and he can keep growing, he's young. I see him. He could get in the top of the Olympia.
I say eventually, yes. I'm just saying right now, the way he is.
Well, right now, no.
He's not going to get a top spot. He needs time.
Mm-hmm.
He's got to add more size, more muscle maturity and all that stuff.
But Wesley would be interesting to see an open, with that height and then some more muscle.
Yeah, but like you said, another 50 pounds of muscle on him because what is he, 6'2" or something too?
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's got to be, Andrew or Samson size.
Yeah.
Competitive.
Yep.
So he's not there yet. So let's.
I mean, I don't
switch
even
gears.
know if he would, or even if that would make sense. I mean, he's
No, I don't
dominating
think.
classics.
I'm
so
not saying he's going to
why
do it.
not?
I'm just saying hypothetically if he
Yeah.
chose to.
Right.
So let's go to the hot topic right now, which is Martin's little outburst. And I don't want to dwell on the specific things. We all know that he, had a sort of a little bit of a meltdown there, did some things that were probably not sportsmanlike and probably not smart to do. But he did. And what
I like the apology he came out with on his Instagram.
he did today come out with an apology, which, I don't know if people are accepting it or not. It doesn't matter at this point because he already got blasted so hard and he lost both of his main sponsors, which was Raw and what is it? The cream of rice company.
Elevate.
Yeah. I
Elevate8.
mean, I think people need to give him a break. He already lost a lot as it is. And yeah, he made a mistake, but he also admitted and apologized, and let's just move on.
So I have kind of a interesting thought, like a view on it, because I formerly owned a massive apparel company and I was sponsored Nick Walker and Martin, and not necessarily with either of them, with other athletes. We got people that were trying to cancel them. Other sponsors dropped them, and they said my partners came to me and said, like, oh, is this going to be bad press? And I said, I'm not going to let someone else run my fucking company because they're pissed off at my guy. My guy, I chose him. I handpicked him. He's my guy. If I have a problem with him, I'll take it up with him and I'll say, hey, please don't act this way or whatever. I'm not going to cut him off at the first sign.
You know what, Luke? I like that mentality. I like that.
And I'm not going to let someone else tell me how to run my company. I started this company. I pay for the bills. I do the shit. Just because people are pissed off, it's already
and also people are so sheep, they're like, oh, all this bad press on Instagram. Oh, let us drop him. I'm like, what? Why would you let your life get run about Instagram?
Yeah. And then, the thing is, they're perfectly happy standing on Martin's shoulders, calling themselves tall when he's acting perfectly exactly how they want to. But then he steps out of line and they're like, oh, we have to distance ourselves from this. So no, that's just how I feel about it. I feel like any company that does that, I feel like they are the ones that should get, they don't have any loyalty to their people that are like,
I agree.
Martin made them thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then right at the first sign of people pissed off at Martin, they're like, we got to distance ourselves. So
it's also like this cancel culture. I really hate it. We're all human beings. I'm like, look at yourself first. Have you never made a mistake? Have you never made a mistake? Really? And especially in
mistakes,
emotional.
All of our mistakes are broadcasted to the everything, because we do everything on a massive stage, So, I don't necessarily condone what he did, but I mean, Martin's never been great with losing. He's impulsive, and it's probably why he's such a good bodybuilder, because he's able to go into a leg set doing the squat or the leg press when he's throwing his own health and safety at risk to go so deep into the set that he's able to build 32-inch legs, So it's part of his personality. And I don't agree with snubbing Nick, but they got a rivalry. So it is what it is. Nick's a big boy. It didn't phase Nick. Nick still won second place. He went home. He's doing fine,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
They dropped him. Rude. That's basically it. He was rude at a show and they dropped him. So
well, there's a guy at my gym who's a local competitor, and he messaged me during the Arnold, and his exact words was, "I'm done with Martin." And I just thought to myself, and
Martin does not care.
Martin doesn't even know who the fuck you are. And who are you that you're done with him? Does anybody care that you're done? Who are you? You're just a fucking dude that competes at local shows and no one knows who you are. So you're done with him. Okay. That's
people
nice.
are so quick to jump on the bandwagon.
I actually reached out to Martin the day after, and I said, hey, just stay offline. get back to bodybuilding. He was like pretty frustrated. And I said, dude, get back to bodybuilding. Like go get in prep, win a show in 3 months, and then they'll all be right back jumping on you and saying like, oh my God, Martin's the best. Like, oh, he's going to win the Olympic, they're so fickle. So
here's what I wanted to talk about was, how do people deal with this social media culture the way it is and this cancel culture bullshit as a pro bodybuilder or a pro athlete of any kind? I mean, how do you navigate this stuff? Because I've been, just being on the podcast, I get like hate shit all the time by these trolls.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned that there is a certain kind of a person out there that just gets their rocks off on trying to like put people down who are better than them, or because they feel inadequate or whatever their situation is. And it's not just fans. There's a couple podcasters that their whole show, and you know who I'm talking about.
We know who it is.
Not just one, there's a couple of them that all they talk is negative shit on everybody. That's like, I guess it gets views. They just want to badmouth everybody and somehow make themselves look better in some sort of a way. Now,
I always say this, Larry, negative people will attract negative people because they are on the same vibration. They vibe with the negative. And positive people will attract positive people. And if you're asking how to deal with it on social media, if you have people on social media that are like that, look, block them. Like, if there's anyone who gets hate, it's female bodybuilders. Like we just love the sport just like you guys. And I always ask, like, why are we not allowed to take to build muscle? Well, why are we not allowed to take that route to be a bodybuilder and try to get, how far?
There's like a certain thing in like a lot of people that somehow they get insecure, so they want to say like, maybe a female bodybuilder has more muscle than them, can bench more than them, squat more than them. So they like, oh, she's doing it wrong, or oh, she looks like a man, because like, bro, you look like less of a man. Like, start lifting weights if you want to look like a fucking man. Like, come on, bro. No, women with muscle are attractive. Like, I love.
And now it's also like, why would you compare like a professional female bodybuilder with yourself, who's a regular male who never touched a weight and who sits in the office? You can't compare that.
These specific people that I've managed to be able to figure out, like this type of person, they have low self-esteem. They haven't accomplished anything in their life. And their only claim to fame is that they can badmouth other people, and somehow that makes them feel better about themselves. And they get off on that because the internet gives them a voice. It gives them a platform where they can go on and just talk shit about people. That's it.
Thank you. You're right.
I'm dealing with it right now. I'll say it right here. There's a guy named Goob who went after the USPA a couple years back and claimed that the USPA was full of pedophiles, which was a lie. There was some incidents that wasn't really in USPA, that people like the wife of a guy that was a meet director had something going on in her special ed class. She was not part of the USPA. So I don't know how that becomes part of the USPA, but he somehow said that. So because I went online and said, this is bullshit, the USPA is not full of pedophiles. I'm a meet director. I run meets, and we've never had one single incident at any of my meets ever, like any kind, in any kind of a way, and not any other meets that I know of. So this guy decided to attack me personally. So he pulled up my court docket and he misinterpreted the whole thing and said that I'm a snitch. Well, I made a reaction video to that, basically saying, here's my court documents. This is my sentencing report. There's a letter from my attorney, Rick Collins, explaining the whole thing. and you can read it for yourself. And I posted it online. I thought that was going to be the end of it because I showed my court papers, and obviously I'm not. What happens? Dave Palumbo a couple weeks ago brings up the guy on After Hours he's talking about some other guy about something else. And I said, you can't go by what this guy says because he just misrepresents things. So the guy again jumps on his Instagram and starts talking shit about me. Anyways, I go to the Arnold. We get there and we're walking into the expo hall. And as I'm walking into the entryway, this dude is walking right towards me. And at first I was not sure because he claims in his Instagram stuff that he's a big power lifter. Like by his representation, he was going to be like a 6'4", 300-pound, big gnarly dude from what he explains about himself. But he was walking right towards me. I'm only 5'7", and he's shorter than me. And he's a short little fat guy. And I mean fat. And I'm walking right towards him. I look in his face, and I'm like, that's got to be him. And I said to him, "Are you Goob?" And he's like, "Yes." And he smiles. And I said, "Why are you talking shit, you little punk asshole?" I said, "Now you're here in my face. Let's see if you have shit to talk now." And he just kept walking. And I'm like, "Wait, stop. Let's deal with this right now." And he's like, "We have to go. We have to be somewhere." His girlfriend looked like she was going to shit herself. I think it was his girlfriend, whoever girl was with him. And I'm like, "No, let's deal with this now." And he's like, "We have to be somewhere." And he like hauled ass out of there as fast as he could. And anyways, Dave Palumbo ran into him, I guess, because I told them what happened. And Dave told him to come on After Hours and debate me. And I was on After Hours on Tuesday with my court papers ready to go. He did not come. I text messaged him last night. Not text message. I messaged him through Instagram and told him, "Okay, let's go on my podcast. Just you and me. I'll bring my court papers. We can show everybody the world and we can hash this out online in front of the world." Nope, he's not going to do it. He wants me to pay him to come on the show. He says nobody's going to watch. I said, "Well, we can go on RX Muscle and do it." Nope. No, he says no one will watch. I'm like, bullshit. People will watch. So as of right now, he's refusing to come on because he says no one will watch. I put it out there, and I will make a video and I will post it up showing all my court papers again, even though I've already done it. And I will post the text messages between me and him as well, so you can all see it. But here's a situation. This guy is just a little troll, little fat dude who all his claim to fame is talking shit about people. This is what he does. And this is his whole thing, is just talking shit on people. And he lies. Luckily for me, I have my court papers, so I can show everything. I've shown it before. By the way, that video is still up online. It's been up there for 2 years. And I show all my court papers, and you can all read it for yourself. As well as a letter from Rick Collins, who is the attorney, who explains the whole thing for anybody who doesn't understand what they're reading. But going back to like the whole social media thing, if you're in the limelight in any kind of a way, you're going to get these people that just want to slander you because it makes them feel better somehow, makes them feel good about themselves, whatever their thing is. I don't know. So how does somebody react to it? And I know there's a saying, just ignore it. And I'm pretty good at ignoring most of it. But I got to say, like, when you're in Martin's situation and you have like thousands and thousands of people like trying to get
attacking you
all of a sudden, and then your sponsors are dropping you, which I disagree with. What does somebody do to deal with this? So one thing that both Andrew and Nick said going into this Arnold, both of them didn't look at social media for the last few weeks of prep. Nick said, "I didn't even look at my social media. I just turned it off and didn't look at it."
I think Nick has people run his like post for him because he has photographers and stuff that edit his reels and do all. They follow him around while he's training and do those like stuff. He's all mic'd up. So I think Nick has people just posting for him.
I've also had.
He personally did not look at his social media because he didn't want to.
I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea, Larry. I mean, I've also had clients that were bothered by it, where it said, just go off social media. Like, you know, if you, it's many things. It's also like looking at your opponents and be like, oh, she looks better than me, or he looks better, is more shredded, and maybe
that's a big one. Is like, you know, you can get in your head about how good, you know, the next guy is looking, and
you know, also like it's
cortisol.
Pictures. They can be edited. It can be in the right light. It can just be a day where you had some extra carbs, and maybe you're sitting being flat. You haven't seen a carb in 2 weeks, and then they just carved up and they just look like full and all the veins out. And you're thinking, oh my God, I might as well just pack up and forget about it, you know? So there's many things to it, but I think it's a good idea to shut off your social media if there's anything, either bad press or whatever, or if you're just like in a spot where you feel like it's a burden, you know. But I think also with social media, you know how news are, like, do we even remember
the news?
Like, I mean, I read that with this now also what's big in the time is politics and Trump and the Iran war and all this, that I read some kind of analysis that 90% of the talk of the Epstein files have now been replaced of the war. That people are not even like talking about that anymore.
You're talking about
the war.
The news cycle is so fast that
so
something major happens and then we're moving so fast that like a week later it's already gone.
And you know, people aren't gonna talk about Martin like in a week or two. Like, people are already getting tired of talking about it. You know, remember that was the Natalia and Sarah scandal with whatever implants or whatever. They're not talking about that anymore. You know, but it was like the hot topic of whatever.
The one thing that kind of like really I think is shitty is people were really fast to try to run to get that to the internet. Oh, Martin did this, Martin did that. Run to the internet. I can't believe, and have their opinion on it and stuff. All the while they're like monetizing that content, trying to get everyone's views, making a follow-up video. They're making money, and Martin's having a crash out. Like, Martin's having the worst week of his fucking life, and they're making money on it. So I think that those people
fucking nasty.
It's fucking nasty. Yeah, it really is. And they're firing up the cancel culture. They're getting people fired up to go hit up Raw and hit up Elevate and get Martin, you know, all that shit. So like, it's like the people that were making the content are just as disgusting as you know, anybody.
I agree.
Now, one thing I wanted to
vultures.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to bring up about Nick, besides him coming in great contest shape, I'm really impressed that he has become a part owner of his supplement company. That is a smart move. I know personally, based on my experience, I will never, ever work for somebody in my life, because you can perform at the highest level, you can do everything right, and they can just drop you for whatever reason they want, no matter how much you've done. So you just invested years and years of your time and your life into this company, and for whatever reason, if they feel like they want to drop you, they can just drop you. And I know, like, people want to, as a bodybuilder, you want a sponsorship that sounds great and everything, but I personally, knowing what I know about the people in the industry, as far as like the people that run these companies, I would not want my money making to depend on that. I would be scared to death to depend on that. To have somebody like that totally in control of my income.
Honestly, I feel like,
even with all the shit with the USPA and this goob talking shit, I own my gym. They can't touch that. They cannot like me. They can talk shit about me. They can hate me. Doesn't affect my income in the freaking least at all.
It's just hard when you are an athlete, because it's super hard when you are pro and have a regular job, or so much goes in. Like when you're at prep, like you lose your fucking brain. You put so much. I mean, I've been in prep where I trained twice a day. I did cardio. I did posing practice. And when I didn't do it, I was so wasted. I had to sleep.
Yeah.
I could literally not have a job. And that's the problem. It's difficult. If you're a pro and you compete a lot, it's hard to have a business or a job. Like, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's tough. Like, if you have good sponsors that pays you and you can just focus on your sport, that's gold.
Yeah, but if you're a part owner of your company, or you're a full owner of your company, you can't be fired because it's your job. It's yours.
Yeah,
I have a perspective. I have a perspective on this as well. If you're a competitive bodybuilder, I wanted to compete when I was running Iron Rebel, but I had to run the fucking company. I had to do literally everything from A to Z, and I just
hard to have
not have the extra time. And now I'm sponsored by Gym Reapers, and they just pay me to make content, and I have a lot more time. Like, I'm able to invest a ton more time into bodybuilding, so I don't have to like pick design colors and pick design things and put in the PO for how many quantities and make sure that I call the shipping and make sure that person's paid, make sure everyone call in the payroll, and like all that shit is a lot of work. So having a sponsor, several sponsors is not, I mean, if you have enough sponsors, if one drops, then like, okay. And then also just having a huge social media, that's like a bank account right there. Just, you can, if somebody drops you can just turn around and go to the next one. Hey, do you want me to make content for you? Like, yeah, let's go. So it is, I get where Larry's coming from, but like, not everyone can just like do that and own a gym or do whatever you're doing. But you're also not trying to compete at the highest level right now.
I mean, one of the reasons why I retired
when I was a marketing manager, I was still competing. And I was working crazy hours as a marketing manager, and those were my best competing years. Mm-hmm. My problem was
not everyone can do it, Larry. Some can. Like, I wouldn't be able to.
But what I'm
I
saying
also don't get in shape unless I do 2-hour cardio a day.
Yeah, so. That's exhausting too.
Yeah.
But if you own your own company, you can do things around the timeline that you want, pretty much, because as even when I was a marketing manager, I didn't own the company, but I ran everything. I mean, I was a 1099 independent contractor. I ran my whole show. So I adjusted my schedule the way I needed to be able to train and do what I needed to do. I still had to work.
I think that anybody, like what you're talking about, is just having security, because any job can fire you. Most places.
Exactly.
I mean, it's good to have.
Most jobs are just jobs. Like, even if it's a sponsor or not, like it's the same difference. It's just a job. So like owning your own company has more security, because like whatever you put in is what you get out.
Yeah,
and I like
you can get fired from any job.
Yeah.
No, and I prefer, if I fail, it's on me. If I succeed, it's on me. I have no one else to blame, and I have no one else to point fingers to.
I mean, it's also usually the biggest output when you have your own company. Like, if you're hired, you just have a salary. If you have a company, you can
something. I'm going to tell you
taking it to the next level.
Listen to me. This is what I learned after being a marketing manager for 10 years. My first year, I worked my fucking ass off, and I was not very good at it, because I was putting in a shit ton of hours, but I wasn't very good at what I was doing. And then what I learned was I got really good at what I was doing, so I didn't have to put in as much time. So I developed a system so the thing could practically run itself. And I knew what buttons to push and what time. So the thing was like clockwork. And like right now, my gym runs itself. I mean, I have to do stuff. There's stuff I have to do, but I don't have to be there all the time. There's people in there right now training, and I'm on this podcast and I'm not answering my phone. And it's running itself right at this very moment. I guarantee you, there's a whole gym full of people in there working out, and I'm not there to be seen. I'm not answering my phone. I'm not doing nothing. I set it up like that. Now, when I get off the phone, the podcast, am I going to have to do some stuff? Yeah, I'm sure I'm going to have to call back whoever I missed calls from and deal with whatever kind of things. But for the most part, it runs itself. You know,
From what I've heard, like, correct me if I'm wrong. This is something like from talking to people. They say the first 5 years you have a business is the hardest. After that, you can kind of pull back a bit, and
okay, that's not true.
That's not true.
I'm going to tell you what's not true about that. The first 5 years that you're in business, it's the hardest because it's new for you. But when you've done businesses over and over again, if you start a new one, you're not starting from scratch. You didn't just lose all that knowledge. Like if I go open another gym right now down the street or in another county, I'm not starting from scratch. I know.
But don't you have to build the clientele first?
Nah, you get the facility, you equip it with what you want, you put the ads in, and you will build a clientele very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
I know what buttons to push to make the thing work. Right. I know how to do it. I've done it long enough. I can.
But I guess also like what you're saying is like when you have to learn something. Like yes. one of the reasons why I retired is because I want to make money now. It's like women's bodybuilding, you can't make any money. Like even like the level I was at, I was making pennies, you know, and I'm like, at some point I have to start making some money, like real money. Yeah, of course. Also, okay, I had many years in the sport. I have some injuries. It's not really holding me back from competing, but I feel like I had many years. I was on top. Now I want to make the real dough. And I want to build vacation apartments on a vacation island. And I have no clue. I have no clue. I've never built vacation
whatever
apartments.
Whatever business you decide to do, you're going to have to learn the in and outs of that business.
I'm going to have to learn it. And I know I cannot be prepping. I cannot be prepping for the Olympia and build vacation apartments where I have to be there all the time.
But once you learn it, you'll know it. And you'll be able and you'll find that as the years go by and you keep doing it, you just know what to do. It's just like bodybuilding. Yeah. You know, in your first learning, you're learning the exercise, you're learning how to eat, you're learning to do this. And then, 10 years into it, you know how to train. Yeah, you know what to eat. You know what cardio to do or not to do. You just know.
I have a plan to build in 2 or 3 phases. And I'm sure this second and the third phase is going to be a lot more fun than the first one.
And you're going to run into some things where you're going to screw up because, you just don't know what to do. But you'll learn. You'll learn what to do. And the thing is, once you have that, like, I don't worry about, like, how am I going to pay my bills from someone else?
Right.
If somebody's mad at me, oh, well, okay, talk shit about me. Okay. It's not going to make a freaking difference in my life. I'm still going to get my money at the end of the day.
So you're telling me I can build and make a comeback in 5 years.
I don't know if it's going to take 5. Everybody has a different learning curve.
Yeah.
One thing I can say is, like, I've done different businesses for my whole life. So, like, when I switched from a marketing company to running a gym, I took that knowledge with me because I already knew how to market and do advertising. So I was able to use that in running the gym, which is half of the battle. Right. And I got better at running gyms, but I mean, my gyms were successful right away because I knew how to market and advertise. And it's not all super complicated. You just have to do it.
Right.
And you just have to have a good product that people want. And that's another thing Nick's doing. He's opening a gym, and Derek Lunsford just opened a gym. And I think that's smart.
I think Martin and Brett opened the gym like last year.
Martin and Brett are also opening a gym. And I mean, as a bodybuilder that's a good thing for a bodybuilder to do. And I'll tell you why. because we love the gym. And like when I'm buying equipment for the gym, it's like so fun for me because I get to pick out the best equipment and the stuff that I really want. And because I've been doing this my whole life and I'm so into it, I know exactly what equipment to get and, you know, what I'm looking for. And, you know, I just know what I want. And that makes a good gym. So you see people that are not bodybuilders or this is not their life and they run gyms and their gyms suck because they don't know what the hell they're doing. They don't know what equipment is good or not good. They don't know like the atmosphere, if it's good or not good. They don't get it, you know. But us being so deep in the bodybuilding industry and everything, we know like what makes a good gym. So it's a perfect business for a bodybuilder to get into. And there's a market for it. I don't care how many Planet Fitnesses are out there. As a matter of fact, when I started the gym business, people told me that I need to make like a Planet Fitness. I need to have purple equipment and do this and that and this and that and that. And I said, if I build that, I'm never going to go to my own gym because I hate those places. And they said a hardcore gym won't work. And I'm like, yeah, well, I'm going to do it anyways. And I did. And it's been working we're going on what, 20 years now, something like that. So it's working. But yeah, you've got to just have something that is yours. And I won't say that just for a bodybuilder, anybody. Like,
yeah, it's good advice for anyone.
I can never imagine going through life having someone else, being dependent on someone else to tell me, you know, how much I can make and being in charge of like whether I progress or not. No. I've tried that thing and I'm not doing it. You know, even after the whole USPA fallout, did it hurt me financially? Yeah, it did for a little bit because, you know, USPA fell apart. And so powerlifting meets went to shit for a while. But I still had my gym and still running and it's still doing its thing. So they couldn't cancel me, put it that way. I mean, my landlords can't cancel me. No, my members can't cancel me. People on social media can't cancel me. It's my gym. The only way to cancel me is to shoot me. So if you do that, I guess you can cancel me. But other than that, you know, you can't touch what I got.
Well, luckily, there's also a block button on Instagram or Facebook or wherever. There's a block button on social media.
Yeah, you can do that. But I mean, if I was getting a sponsorship, I would look at that as side money. I would look at that as like, this is extra income, cool to have, but I don't want to be dependent on it. I wouldn't want to be dependent on it.
Right.
You know, I wouldn't want it to be dependent on, you know, if they like me, and especially the way these supplement companies go, you know, they can be like all in with you. And then just for whatever reason, they just decide, look at Hostile. They just decided they don't want to sponsor athletes anymore. So they just like dropped Samson, dropped Martin. There was no reason. They just decided not to do it.
Right.
For whatever reason, business-wise, they said, we don't want to spend that money in that direction. Bye-bye. There you go.
I mean, you're definitely vulnerable in that spot, especially as an athlete, where it's like, I mean, if you're not really like in the top spots, you're not making much money. So I still think Martin's sponsors, they should apologize to him and take him back. I just think it was like, I mean, you can talk about people overreacting. I think Martin overreacted. I don't think it was right what he did or condone his behavior, but I also don't condone the behavior of the fans online because they were so quick to pull out the knife and just go like this, you know. Yeah, we're all humans.
Martin didn't do himself any favors by staying online, reading it and stuff. He should have just unplugged, gone to the gym, gone and had maybe a weekend with his girlfriend, not even take his phone, just kind of like get off it, just delete the apps off your phone or something. So
Yeah, just let it blow over.
Yeah.
I'm just like also what you said with the supplement company and loyalty and stuff. Like, hey, you chose this person, and have a talk instead. Instead of just canceling. Let's go to the office. Let's have a meeting. Let's have a meeting. Let's talk about this. This is not how we would like you to act, and we feel like it reflects back on the company or whatever they want to say. I think Martin already had a lot of penalty from all the hate he got, and even like I could tell also like something went wrong. I mean, we can all tell like
look at the Hadi Choopan situation.
He didn't look good.
Hadi gets accused of being supporting of the regime. I don't know if it's true or not. He says it's not. Some people say it is. I don't know what to believe because, it's like, who do you believe? Like, I don't read Farsi. But what's his name? Evogen, they dropped him just like that.
Mm-hmm.
They canceled him because of the political pressure. They canceled him. And supposedly Hani Rambod and him were like this, best buddies, coach and client and all that stuff. And then, he just drops him. So what does that tell you right there? Like, honestly,
cancel culture.
Then loyalty.
Yeah, there's no loyalty in this fitness industry shit. It's too bad. I mean, honestly, if I was the supplement company owner and it was my guy and we were like best buddies for years and some shit hits the fan, I'm not going to just like be like, okay, fuck you. You're out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the other hand, let's say something happened and I said, hey, bro, like, what you're doing is not a good idea and it's causing problems and you need to stop. And he just doesn't listen. And we have this discussion multiple times and he doesn't listen. Well, then I'm going to drop him not because of the situation, because
he's not respecting you.
I'm telling you, like, don't do this. You're causing problems for yourself and me possibly. And I don't want to be in that. That's different. But like, something happens and all of a sudden it's like, okay, bro, you're out. Fuck you.
I'm like, what happened to communication? Right? I mean, is this all about rumor and social media and reputation? And now it's like, we don't like it.
And okay, there's certain circumstances. Okay. I'm going to give you an extreme example. Let's say Martin did a Craig Titus and killed somebody. Okay, that's a lot different than
that's different.
That's a lot different than he shoved Nick and said some words.
And we also don't know exactly what went on. Like maybe Luke knows more, but I don't know if Nick could have said something to him or they had words or I heard that they're already like sort of blood rivals, so
yeah. There's this kind of I can tell the backstory if you guys are interested, but
let's hear the backstory.
So I sponsored both of them. They did photo shoots together, everything. They were cool. They were both amateurs, and then they both turned pro in 2020 at North Americans, and Nick beat Martin for the overall for the North American champion. And Martin he really just doesn't take losing very well. It really gets under his skin. And then kind of just after that, he just had a thing against Nick. And then he just kind of like they went back and forth online, just creating the rivalry bigger and bigger. And now it's just elevated to this. And then supposedly Martin was kind of like cursing at him or shoving him backstage, and a lot of people had a problem with that. And like, if somebody has a problem with that, it should be the IFBB to sanction Martin about that. It shouldn't be the people putting the telling the IFBB how to run their business. It should be the IFBB saying, hey, we need to have security backstage to make sure that people don't get in fights. And there have been fights between bodybuilders all the time. Isn't there a story about like Fuad getting knocked out at something like years ago? And,
I mean, it can get heated at shows. Everybody is like,
we saw
it's tense. People are nervous. Like,
we saw Phil Heath
shit
and
happens.
Ty Green shoving each other on stage. That wasn't fake,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, it kind of almost adds to the sport, because then you're like, all right, these guys got a rivalry. They're prepping to go head to head. If everyone's just like, let's hold hands and be merry, like that's kind of not as interesting. But if like that Kai Green is coming against Phil for the third time in a row, and you're like, man, they're really trying to beat each other out. It's kind of more interesting.
I mean, I saw also many online that kind of said like the people were going soft. That it's like, oh, you're not allowed to do anything. You're not allowed to curse each other out or say anything. Like, I mean, the heat of the moment,
If 40 years ago or even 20 years ago, if this exact same situation happened, no one would think much about it. But now with social media and all these pussies out there that are so scared with everything, you look sideways at somebody and it's like, they want to file a lawsuit.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I just think it's between Nick and Martin to hash that out.
Nick's a big boy. If he's got a problem with it,
it's between them two. It's between them two. And if IFBB says, hey, we don't want to have that at our show, they could do something. But like you also said, there's also been some shoving on stage with Kai and Phil. It's like
the IFBB already came out and made a statement. They said if it doesn't involve the law and there's no legal issue, we don't get involved.
I mean, also Steve Weinberger made a Instagram, they don't really have a problem with it like that. It's more like the fans that are like, woo, it's like, let it be between them two. Hopefully they can talk at some point, hash it out. And I feel like it's a storm in the glass water. It's not really that big of a deal.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything,
out of proportion for sure. Yeah. Let's work on wrapping this up. I got to go eat my next meal.
Yeah, me too.
So we have any questions? There were so many things going through. I didn't see if anybody had questions.
I don't think there really was too many.
I think people were too caught up in the drama.
Mostly that people were just chatting in the chat today.
Yeah, I think so too.
Well, anyways, I will be making a video. There's already a video up showing my court papers, but I'm going to make another one. And I'll re-go over it again, just so people know. And for anybody wondering, like, that Goob dude is full of shit. So I don't know what else to say about that. But I have all my documents, and you can read them for yourself. As far as, like, going forward, I think people, social media, it is what it is. We live in a weird time, where there's all this cancel culture and this stuff. And I think the best thing to do, like if you're a competitive bodybuilder or whatever your situation is try just to not pay too much attention to it all, because it's a lot of noise, and don't let it get to you. Because, I mean, I read stuff sometimes, and I can tell you, like, when that guy made a video about me, calling me, accusing me of shit, I was seriously pissed. And when I saw him at the Arnold, I seriously wanted to hurt him. Like, I was not kidding. I wanted to beat his ass right there on the spot. And if he didn't run away, I might have done it. But he just hauled his ass out of the way. But
I mean, I get it. It's never
what an eventful Arnold
shit. Yeah,
Arnold Classic.
It's never cool when somebody talks shit about you. Like, yeah.
But at this point, I just have to look back and say, okay, all these things I've got going on in my life, this is not that something that I'm going to let affect me in some kind of big way. Because it's, first of all, it's all bullshit. And I'm not gonna like lose sleep over it.
Just go on with your life, and
I'll deal with it, but I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it.
Yeah. No, not worth it.
All right. So I guess we don't have any other questions in the thing, but if you do have questions for next week, or if you want to see something else you want us to talk about, we do have the Arnold UK is still coming up in 2 weeks. And from what I know, I think that I'm sure Andrew is going there because it's another $250,000. And I understand that Hadi might be going there, but he's still trying to get his visa. So we might see a rematch against Hadi and Andrew again.
That would be interesting.
I don't know if anybody else that's going there is, of significance, like as far as challenging Andrew for that title.
Yeah. I think I made a prediction at the beginning of the year that Andrew was going to win the Arnold and the Olympia. So I think that's still in the realm of possibility this year.
Yeah. And I'm sure Derek Lunsford is looking at him pretty seriously. I did run into Derek and I talked to him at the Arnold this weekend, and he said he's going to come on and do an interview. So that'll be cool. I will tell you this. I stood next to him. He is a short, big ass dude. I mean, he's as wide as he is tall. I mean, that guy is big. He is carrying some serious size on him right now. And he looks relatively lean still. I mean, not contest lean, but he's still, he's not fat.
Yeah.
And so he's still somebody to be in contention for sure.
Mm-hmm.
If I was Martin, I don't doubt Martin's going to listen to this, but if I was him, I would be going to the Arnold UK. In spite of all this shit, in spite of the sponsors, in spite of everything.
Was he on the list? Was he on the list?
I don't think he is, but if I was him, I'd be trying to go. I would be looking for redemption.
And also his look was probably the worst I've seen, I think.
No, he's had a couple times he's been off, but
I mean, yeah. So it just wasn't, they didn't really hit it. He looked kind of flat. He needed to get some more body fat off. I would really go on the redemption route, just kind of like he knows he can bring it better, and just forget about the noise, lock in, and go for the next one.
How far away? Because we got Detroit this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that'll be a pretty good show. We should have talked about that one.
Yeah.
I don't even know who was in it. I know one of my old athletes, Elias, is doing it. He's fucking huge. It's his pro debut. So
yeah, I haven't heard. I heard Fuad talking about Detroit this weekend, and he said that Mike Summerfield might go, but then he can't go because he didn't register in time. I know Wesley Visters is supposed to be going to compete in the Classic there. I'm not sure who else is competing in Detroit this weekend, but
I'm sure
we'll find out. Is there a list up?
I seen a couple people, like Fuad kept posting them on his. Here we go. Fuad Detroit Pro-Am, Blessing, Derek Dollinger, Nathan Epler, Mohammed Foda, Aaron Goodley, Ronald Gordon, Chris Jones, Walter Martin, Elias McCall, Christopher Miller, Patrick Moore, Leandro Sinecki Press, Anthony Williams. I mean, some of these names I don't really recognize, but there's going to be, I can see like probably Blessing, Nathan Epler, Mohammed Foda. They're probably going to be the top kind of guys.
Mm-hmm.
So these are mostly second tier guys that are going to this show.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I was Martin right now, I would be like, I'm going to UK.
Mm-hmm.
I know that he was off at this show, but I think it was just a water manipulation thing, whatever. I don't know what he did,
Yeah.
but somehow he was holding a shit ton of water.
Well, we heard before a week out that he wasn't in quite the condition that he was in Prague, so they knew he was going to be a little bit off.
What
I
date
think
is
maybe-
the UK?
I think he just needed another couple weeks. I don't think it was his water. I think it was conditioning.
Yeah, but he was sweating like he was pouring sweat up there. I don't know if that's cortisol nerve issue or what it was, but he was just pouring sweat. His tan was running all over the place.
He does that sometimes. I think when he doesn't dry out correctly. Remember his first Olympia? He was like he was dumping a lot of sweat. His tan was coming off that first Olympia that he did.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that's all about.
What date is the UK? Do you guys know the date?
I'm not sure. I think it's in 2 weeks.
Supposedly 2 weeks. 2 weeks from a week from this weekend. So not this weekend, but the following weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think also he can dry up and look good for the UK. He would have a good chance of taking it.
Mm-hmm.
Someone said Armin said it was kratom use that caused Martin to. I don't believe that. I don't know what kratom has anything to do with missing your peak at a contest.
I mean, I feel like that stuff's just the same as opiates. So
yeah, no, that wouldn't be it.
I don't. How does that affect your peak at a show? I don't think so.
I mean, digestive issues with it probably.
I don't think it causes that. So I don't know.
I know someone who uses a lot of kratom, and she's always really like fucking ripped. So I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I think most of the time when people are watery, it's a diet issue. It can be a carb up issue. It can be nerves as well. I mean, cortisol. Yeah.
I really think it's just a carbing up issue. You know, somehow, you know, he ate too many carbs and he didn't take the right amount of insulin, and the carbs didn't go into the muscle, and so the water didn't get sucked in. Something like that.
Yeah, I think I saw a thing the other day that said he had to do like 1,100 grams a day or something like that to carb up. So maybe it was
and you know he's probably taking insulin to make that happen, and somehow he just messed up the timing and it spilled over.
I mean,
all right, I gotta go.
Me too.
All right, guys.
Let's wrap it up.
So we'll see you next week, and guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, leave your comments on, and you can send us messages on social media. So what you want to hear us talk about, or leave messages in the comments of what you want us to talk about next week, and we will be sure to cover those things. That's a wrap.
All right.
That's a wrap. All right. Take care,
Later.
guys. Bye.
I believe that the fires we're cast upon on the flames we shall become. I believe in a common calling.